Today, when asked about that sales tax, she said it'll have to wait, the rollback will have to wait until 2012 at the earliest. She's campaigned on a tax cut, particularly before the primary, but she says she never promised it would happen immediately. Preckwinkle says she's been briefed now on Cook County's finances, and the money's just not there.
We're going to have to get a handle on the budget for 2011 and then go forward from there. But what I'm suggesting to you is we're looking at a very grim 2011 budget.
Alderman, it sounds as though you're backing off what was a campaign.
No, you're putting words in my mouth. You're putting words in my mouth. I did not say that. What I said is we're facing a very grim situation now. We're going to get a handle on the budget in 2011 and move forward from there.
Preckwinkle is running against Republican Roger Keats and Green Party candidate Thom Tresser. Political analyst Tom Serafin is with us now. So, Tom, what are your thoughts on Alderman Preckwinkle's remarks as she seems to kind of be backing off what some people will consider a campaign promise?
I thought it was stunning, considering who she is and how much she knows about government. She's been around government for a long time, running for office a couple of times before she was elected to the city council. She knows everybody and she knows everything. 14 weeks ago, she was campaigning on that issue, saying that she could cut that 0.5% incrementally over the next 4 years through now in 2012. The Tribune and the Sun-Times on February 1st and in January 13th said she's the person for us because she's going to go ahead and cut that. And all of a sudden, in the middle of an election, 5 months before November, she's decided that maybe she can't do it right away.
Well, now there's some who would say it really was the chivalrous thing to do because she could have waited until after the election and said, oh, now I've seen the books and now I can't do it. So it's kind of like getting it out there ahead of the game. But did she promise, I'm going to cut that right away as soon as I get into office?
Well, the only thing I saw in the primary is she said incrementally over the next 4 years. There's a lot of questions. Who benefits from this news today? Most politicians, as you said, would wait until after the general election, do a forensic audit of some sort, come back and say, we can't do this, we can't do this. I mean, what news did she learn in 14 weeks that made her change her mind? What is it? And is Todd Strozier right? He got beat up by everybody in this town, all the opinion elites, all the ruling class saying Todd Strozier wasn't doing the job. He said over and over again, this 1% was saving us. That's why we were flush. And all of a sudden now, people are saying, well, I don't know if I could do this because we need that. Maybe Todd Strozier was right. If that's the case, she should say that.
Well, even some of his critics these days say, we voted for the budget because it was a good budget 2 years in a row.
So, very interesting.
It's very interesting. You think that her opponents will be able to make any hay of it?
Well, if they have a campaign and they put it together, Roger Keats is the Republican, they still need to prove that they can run a campaign at this level. About 40 years ago, we elected a Republican county board president. This certainly makes him more competitive. Is he and his organization smart enough to take advantage of this? We don't know yet.
Democrats are pretty much a shoo-in usually.
Well, right now they are a shoo-in. But remember what happened yesterday with the Tea Party in Kentucky. What happened with our inspector in Pennsylvania. People are angry. This is not going to make people happy.
All right, let's move on up the political chain, as it were, to the gubernatorial race. The Republican candidate for governor, Bill Brady, has started to run campaign ads here in Chicago. His first spot came out last week, and part of it slammed Governor Quinn's budget plan.
Pat Quinn's idea is to feed big government by raising your taxes 33%. He thinks government growth is more important than ours. I have a better plan. Let's make it harder to raise your taxes, requiring a supermajority vote.
Illinois has a $13 billion budget deficit. The ad implies that Brady won't raise taxes to fill any part of it. The spot's only promise, though, is to demand that it would require supermajority to raise taxes, which means that I guess it still could happen. But is he hedging, or is it just semantics? Kind of like, then he can go back like Preckwinkle and say, I never said it was going to happen right away.
Well, I've talked to him about this in the past, about the supermajority issue. He wants both houses to be involved. Right now, the Senate is a veto-proof Senate. The House of Representatives is not a veto-proof situation, so you'd have to have some Republican votes and Democratic votes on a tax increase.
So everybody would take some heat for it.
Right. Well, not only heat, but you'd have to get people involved right now. Right now, the Democrats run Springfield. The tax increase could be passed today if they wanted to, but it's not going to happen.
In this same commercial, he talks about having, real term limits. Are either of these things that he could accomplish even if he were elected? I mean, would he have that much control in Springfield?
Well, again, take a look at the national mood. It's coming this way. I mean, the Chicago way seems to be impervious to it because of the way we organize our politics. But Springfield is not. There's an opportunity for some of that to happen. So yes, it could happen. Remember back in 1994-96, Pat Quinn, not an elected official at the time, got enough votes to put on the ballot the term limits. but it was thrown off the ballot by lawyers and others of the parties that didn't want it on. So he had the votes to do it. He just couldn't get it. He couldn't get it across the finish line.
Well, this gubernatorial race is a real horse race right now. We don't know who's going to be governor, which is a nice feeling, you know, if you're a few months ahead of the election.
I think all the way down the ticket we're going to be surprised, including the U.S. Senate. You know, the Julius Kirk race. As tough as it is for Alexei, it's going to be just as tough for Kirk. But based on what happened yesterday, remember the Democrat that won in the 12th district of Pennsylvania, where Murtha was the Democrat incumbent, he won because he was pro-life. He was anti-cap and trade, and he was also pro-gun.
Even though he was a Democrat.
He ran as a Republican. With all the issues, he was against Obamacare.
Okay.
And he won. So, you know, the president is not carrying the weight he should have carried in yesterday's election. It's going to be tough here in Illinois.
Well, our motto in Illinois politics, boredom is the enemy. Thank you so much.
That's right.
For the top local political stories as they develop, go to our website, myfoxchicago.com. Just click on the politics tab.